The NBA is at a time where the talent level is arguably as strong as it has ever been, and we're seeing role players produce at increasingly high levels, demonstrating the ability to break out and put up big-time performances when given the opportunity. Over the last few years, there have been countless examples of guys in reduced roles playing well to an extent. Then, when they go to a new team willing to give them a bigger role, they explode into star players. Jalen Brunson is a good recent example of this, going to the Knicks this year and emerging into one of the best point guards in the league. Lauri Markkanen is another example after finding a home in Utah, where his skills have been best utilized, and Mikal Bridges is another recent example of this, getting traded to Brooklyn and going from a great 3-and-D player to a genuinely dominant scorer. In today's video, we'll be discussing 4 players that I think would have similar breakouts if given the opportunity on their own teams. Before we start though, it turns out a good amount of you watching right now aren't even subscribed to the channel, so if you enjoy the content, consider hitting the subscribe button, as not only does it help out a ton, but I'd also very much appreciate it. Now with that being said, let's begin. The first role player that we'll be discussing today that I believe has the talent to produce like a star if given the opportunity is Cam Thomas of the Brooklyn Nets. Thomas took the basketball world by storm around the trade deadline, when Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant were both traded away, and the incoming players weren't ready to go yet, so Thomas finally got a shot at a go-to role. In his first outing under these circumstances, he dropped 44 points off the bench. He then got put into the starting lineup the next game and dropped 47 points, and then the next game after that, he went 3 straight scoring over 40 by dropping 43 points, and what was most notable was that he did so very efficiently, shooting 56% from the field and from 3 in those games. He was genuinely a terror to guard and was creating space like a seasoned veteran, knocking down tough shots and getting to his spots with ease. But then when the Nets got their new roster settled, all of a sudden Thomas got pushed to the wayside. Since then, he's been put back in a limited bench role where he plays sparingly, if at all, and some nights he only is given about 5 minutes of playing time, and other nights he doesn't get subbed in at all, getting some did not play coach's decisions, and the whole situation just baffles me. Listen, I'm not oblivious to his weaknesses. He definitely plays a relatively selfish brand of basketball, rarely looking to pass the ball, and defensively he definitely has some room for improvement. But if you're capable of dropping efficient 40 bombs nightly like he showed he was, then you're good enough to be a go-to option for a team. The next role player we'll be discussing today that could produce like a star if given the opportunity is Immanuel Quickley of the New York Knicks. The Knicks have been having an amazing breakout year this year, thanks in large part to Jalen Brunson's emergence and Julius Randle getting back to making a positive impact with his usage. But Immanuel Quickley is the current favorite to win the 6th Man of the Year award, and his ability to provide instant offense off the bench has been a massive benefit for the team. What makes me think he's a good candidate for this list in particular, though, is a few things. For one, ever since the Knicks made some adjustments to their rotation and actually started getting Quickley more involved in games, he has been outstanding. A notable turning point for him came in a blowout win over the Warriors in December, and ever since that game, he's been averaging about 17 points, shooting the ball 47% from the field and 39% from 3. Then secondly, he's been doing this while playing alongside 2 high-usage players like Julius Randle and Jalen Brunson, who tend to dominate the ball a lot, so if given more freedom, I could easily see Quickley being a 20-plus point scorer. He's so crafty with the ball in his hands, he's quick in the open floor, he's got a nice floater when he gets in the paint, and he's a reliable pull-up shooter out to the 3-point line, which is all a recipe for success in a go-to role. The next role player that has the potential to be a star on his own team is John Collins of the Atlanta Hawks. John Collins' trajectory is one of the more puzzling ones in the league today because in his first few seasons, he was legitimately on a star-caliber arc. In each of his first 3 seasons, his scoring increased, capped off in that 3rd year when he averaged about 22 points and 10 rebounds per game, which is already borderline star production. His explosive athleticism around the rim made him a lethal roll man in the pick and roll, his ability to create in the post was taking nice strides forward, and even his perimeter shooting was becoming a reliable tool in his arsenal as he shot 40% from 3 that year. Then, from that point forward, over the course of the next 3 years, he started regressing every season, and his scoring output, rebounding, and shooting splits all decreased over that time. He's made headlines for openly wanting out of Atlanta at times, he's requested trades, his role on the Hawks has shrunk, and yet nothing has changed. Trae Young has always been a ball-dominant player, but with the addition of Clint Capella and Onyeka Okongwu in the front court, Collins has been made less of a priority, and then with DeJounte Murray in the mix too, alternating with Trae Young, orchestrating the offense, that has led to his usage going down even further. And honestly, at this point, it's probably best for both the team and Collins himself to just be traded. He's now scoring just 13 points per game this year, but I'm confident that he can get back to the numbers he was putting up a few years ago, with a fresh change of scenery elsewhere. And finally, the last role player we'll be discussing today that I believe has the capability to produce like a star if given the opportunity is Tyus Jones of the Memphis Grizzlies. I discussed in the intro how Jalen Brunson is a recent example of a player who fit the criteria for a list like this over the last few years, having gone to New York and then emerging as a legitimate star talent, and out of everyone mentioned today, Tyus Jones reminds me the most of a guy that could have a Brunson-esque breakout. Now, he may not be as good as Brunson overall, but their games are quite similar, and when Jones has needed to fill in for Ja Morant as the starting point guard, like Brunson in games where he was filling in for Luka Doncic last year, he has been phenomenal. Jones has filled in as a starter 21 times this season, and in those 21 games, he's averaging about 17 points and 8 assists per game, shooting the ball very efficiently from both the field and from 3. In those 21 games, he also has 8 outings where he has scored 20 or more points, and he also has 8 other outings where he has dished out 10 or more assists. And when you watch the Grizzlies play with him leading the way, you can just tell that they trust him to orchestrate the offense and make the right play because his basketball IQ backs it up. He's such a smart point guard who reads the game exceptionally well, he takes what is given to him without forcing things, and whether that means he needs to be aggressive as a scorer or to look to feed those around him more often than not, he makes the right decision. Also, like Brunson, he's not the most gifted athletically, so he's achieved his success that he has been finding because of the fact that he's highly skilled and fundamentally sound. And he and Jalen Brunson are both the same age at 26 years old, so their trajectories overlap even further. The Grizzlies have Jones under contract for 1 more year, so if he continues to break out like this next year as well, he's going to be a highly coveted free agent in 2024. And with that being said, that's all I have for you today. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment down below which role players you think could break out in a big way if given the opportunity. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.